Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay. So we are on chapter 9. I was able to mute, and Falguni ji, can you mute yourself, please? Okay. Oh, there are two of them. I don't know kya hua hai yahan pe. Okay. Okay, sorry. So last time we did the two verses together, 19 and 20. No, sorry, 20 and 21. And they were of the people who don't have a complete understanding of who God is, who Brahman is. So they do worship God, but with some desire. And here, one of the desires they talked about is going to Swargaloka, which is like a vacation and all. We saw all that. And we saw the downside of it, that it is just, it's like a taxi service, Uber service to go back and forth. You keep going, you go there, enjoy yourself, come back. It's not permanent. So that's what. As against that, we are going to see in this one, if you are totally, surrender to God, what happens? So this is a very important verse, and many people say it is in the center of Gita. It may not be numerically absolute center, but still it's considered. Many different commentaries and all, they will always mention this, and among people who teach Gita and all that, they will say this is a very important verse. So we'll see what it is. And the verse is Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So Ananya. Some people have that name, right? Ananya, I've heard this in the new generation. So what does it mean? It means single-pointed, without others, or just oneness. That's Ananya. No other. जिसको बोलते हैं ना अन्य, हिंदी में एक वर्ड है अन्य. So ये है opposite of that, without other. चिंतयन्तः. So ये वो चिंता वाला नहीं है, ये चिंता करना नहीं है, चिंतन करना है. It's a very subtle difference. Huh? So thinking about it. Thinking about, or like the way we say, be in tune with it, God. Mom is Krishna Bhagavan is saying me by talking about Brahman. Ye, who, janaha, men. Men means, don't be offended, the women, because these days, why did Krishna Bhagavan, when he say jana, we are included, men and women both. Okay. Human beings. Let's put it this way. Paryupasate. So we have heard the word upasana, right? So ये word upasana से आया है, पर उसके आगे pari लगाया है. Pari means from all sides, complete upasana. Half-hearted nahi ekdam. That's what pari is, word. So, and tesham, of them, nitya abhiyuktanam. So, yukt एक word होता है हिंदी में. युक्त means उससे जुड़ जाना. So, यहाँ पर उसका थोड़ा deep meaning है. When you are focused on something, you have a lot of control over your mind. Your senses are under control. That's why you are able to focus. So, this it has a deeper meaning, this abhiyuktanam, or yukta, nitya yukta. So, all the time. Nitya means all the time. So, we'll see the deeper meaning, what it means. Yoga, we all know what it means. And here, before also I had mentioned, if a simple definition of yoga is union with the higher. Somebody said, what is yoga? That's what it means. But yoga has such a deep meaning. And in Vedanta, there are so many aspects of it. And here, there is a very specific meaning of yoga over here because it goes with the word kshema. So next word is kshema. So it's like in English language, we say gain and guard. Whatever I want, when I work towards it to get that, to become united with those things, then it becomes yoga for me, for that. And it is, this word can be used in the worldly sense as well as in the spiritual sense. So we will see. And kshema is a preservation of what we already possess. So that's another thing we want to do. Okay, I got now, I have to protect it. How much we protect everything, our wealth and our health and wealth and everything. That's why you have these annual exams, and so we know what protection. So that's what we'll shame over here, and we'll see more deeper meaning also. And vahami is to carry, usko vahan karna, uska bhar uthana. That's what it means. यहाँ पर लिखा है carry or secure, but the word meaning of it is uska bhar uthana. Aham is me. Again, Krishna Bhagwan is saying, मैं भार उठाऊंगा. So let's see what he's saying. So as I mentioned that previously we saw those people who are, don't have a full understanding as against the people who have a proper understanding about Bhagwan. So then what happens? And those people, there are some qualification. We cannot just say, oh yeah, I understand Bhagwan. Do you have these qualifications? So first qualification is Ananya Chintayantaha. Constantly meditating and thinking about God. So we should not take it literally, because then there will be a problem. So how can that means I should not do any work, I should just sit and meditate? We have discussed it. That's not what it means. It means that understanding that God is this world. God is in everything. God has supplied everything. Or that kind of thing, understanding. And Ananya Bhav is not getting distracted by anything, or having a doubt about it. Oh, I'm not sure if God exists or not. Or your own ego coming in the middle and all that. None of that. Single-pointed attention. So Bhagwan says that those who contemplate on me and think about me, and then he says that ye janaha, those bhakt jana. Ye pe jana mola yahan par, he's referring to the devotees. And then the way Nikhilanandji was explaining that these are the people who worship God from all angles and all ways. Not just doing some rituals or anything, but looking at the whole world as an expression of God and doing the worship by helping everybody. So serving God, loving God, and worshipping God from all sides and all ways. And then the next word is abhiyuktanam, steadfast and constantly tuned to me. And then when we read Swamiji's commentary, he takes such a tremendous approach about this verse. You will see that even in the worldly success, we need all these things. And when we go to his commentary, we will see. Here, Nikhilanandji took a more devotional approach, and both are very beautiful. So we will look at it from both angles. And then Abhiyuktanam, like I said, that when somebody is steadfast in a particular goal, they have developed a proper self-control. Like when you're, even in the worldly things, when you focus on one thing to do, you will get a success in it, but then you have to block yourself out from the other things. You cannot get distracted by TV and politics and whatever is happening around you and all that. So just that way, And then यहाँ पर है words तेषाम nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So these are, we are just seeing the surface meaning right now. So people who say, people who are like this, Ananya Chintayanto and Abhiyuktanam and all that, Bhagwan says, I take care of their yog and shame. मैं उनका योग और shame का भार वहन करता हूँ. So these are technical terms, like I said. So yoga in this context means I have some desires and I want to get that. I want to acquire that. So all the efforts that I do to acquire that is called yoga here, to attain something that I don't have right now. Okay, so that's yoga. So this is how Swamiji will explain in his commentary, that there are only two things we do from morning to evening. Because everybody will have different desires, right? And everybody want different things, even spiritually as well as worldly things. We all have on a different plane. So all the desires can be put into different categories. One is, I desire something, so I work towards it. After I get it, I want to protect it. That's what I do all day, from morning to evening. So that's what it is, something which I don't. And so what are these things? It could be a state to be in. It could be an object. It could be a situation. I don't have certain situation and I'm working towards making that situation. When I say state, meaning, hey, I want certain position in this world. Just giving a worldly example to understand that what is this yoga over here, that, hey, I don't have this position, or I don't have this job, or I don't have this object, or I don't have this situation, and I work towards it. That all comes under yoga. Okay? Desire. And then whatever I acquire after that, I want to protect it. Okay? This is what it is. And this is at all levels we do that. And, simple example like material wealth that we discussed, I want certain things and I strive to get it. And then I want to protect it. Or simple other example is some political position somebody wants. कुर्सी चाहिए, फिर कुर्सी को पकड़ के बैठो, कोई ले ना ले. Protecting it. That's what it is. So then these are the things that we want. And this is what we want to protect. So what Bhagwan says, that people who are constantly thinking about me, tuned to me, serving me, I take the responsibility of their yoga and shame. You don't have to worry about it. That's what it is. So he was just saying this applies to all different levels, right? At certain level, all these spiritual people, for example, who give up their life, worldly life, to serve others, right? All the brahmacharis and all that. It's just an example, It applies to all of us also, but giving just a brahmachari example, that when they do take that vow, okay, I'm going to serve God in, do the public service and all that, then Bhagwan takes care of them, because you see, these organizations and all that, donation comes and they are taken care of, So it is coming from Bhagwan only, because obviously Nikhilanandji was talking about himself also. He said that how when he was thinking of joining Chinmaya Mission, in the beginning he was like, oh my God, who's going to take care of me? And then he said he read something that Vivekanandji had said. Same thing. Vivekanandji talks about all this Gita and everything only. But he, got the inspiration from there, that Vivekanandji said that if you serve me, I'll take care of you. So he said that he just took that thing to heart, and he's saying, till now God has taken care of me. Pehle bhi nibhaya, abhi bhi nibhayega. Like that. So just an example. So this particular thing is considered like a very big promise by God, that I will take the bhar of your yoga and shema in this verse. So it's called a great promise by Bhagwan. And we have to believe that, because he's saying, Bhagwan, we have learned that he is the Lord of the entire cosmos. He's all pervading, all knowing, all powerful. We know in all different religions, they say the same thing. Omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. So if he's like that, obviously he is capable of taking the bhar. And when he says, Vahamyaham, what Nikhilanandji was saying, जैसे इंडिया में वो ऐसे सर पे टोकरी लेके जाते हैं ना, literally उसका meaning वो होता है, वो भार वहन करते हुए जाते हैं. So there is one story also, very interesting one. Somewhere I heard, it seems कि there was one saint, I don't remember his name, and when he was reading Gita, वो थोड़े भक्ति में थे, right? तो उनको ये थोड़ा लगा, भगवान क्यों भार उठाएंगे भला, right? So बोला कि भगवान ने गलती कर दी यहाँ पर, या वहाँ भी नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, कुछ और, I don't know the word, other word, so he changed that word. उन्होंने ऐसे काट के कुछ और लिख दिया. So then it seems very interesting drishtanta. I don't know if it actually happened or not, but the story is very interesting. So then it seems that they had a small, not teenager, maybe 10-11 साल का उनका कोई बेटा था. So, no, sorry, not beta. I back up. I'm trying to think of the story. So the wife goes नदी में पानी लेने के लिए. After this guy wrote, वहाँ में काट दिया उन्होंने. Wife went there, तो एक बहुत सुंदर लड़का वहाँ पर आया और उसका गाल थोड़ा लाल था, right? So उसको लगा कि अरे तू कितना सुंदर बच्चा है तू, और अरे तेरा गाल कैसे लाल हो गया? तो बोला तेरे हस्बैंड ने मेरे मुंह पे चाटा मारा है. Boy said. So he said, my husband? No, he cannot do such a thing. He's very religious. He's very this thing. He's saying जाके पूछना जाके कि उसने मेरे चाटा मारा है मेरे मुंह के ऊपर. So she got so upset, and she said, of course I will find out. And, she gave him a hug and all. She came back and she told her husband, how cruel are you? You gave a slap to this boy? And he said that, I never did such a thing. So no, I met this boy. And he said, so it seemed in the story that it was Krishna who came. And he said that I have told you कि मैं भार उठाऊंगा और तुम मेरी बात पे विश्वास नहीं कर रहे हो. So as though उसने चाटा मारा. Okay, this is I love this drishtant. So he then immediately changed it. Say, okay, Bhagwan is saying he will भार वहन करेंगे तो वो करेंगे. So, and the other thing we used to think about this example, how do we apply this in our life? Because we get so stressed and bogged down with our problems, right? Oh my God, what will happen, this, that, and all that. But if you have faith in God, if you surrender to God, then He is taking care of everything. Even if some difficulty is coming to us, it is for our own good, right? But we don't think that way. And somebody gave a drishtant that it's like this lady is going in a train and उसने ना अपनी गठरी में सामान बांधा था. तो वो गठरी जो है ना अपने सर पे लेके वो बैठी है ट्रेन में. So some passenger said, why you doing this? एक गठरी को नीचे रखो, वो ट्रेन उठाएगी, तुम क्यों उठा रहे हो? जैसे हम लोग वैसे ही वो गठरी लेके चलते रहते. We don't think that God will take care of us. So that's what this Mahami word has all this meaning, that God actually takes care of us. We just in our ego think that, oh, I have to do this, I have to do. You do your karma, selfless, and then God will take care of you. That's where all these things come. So then Nikhilanand was saying that how this is such a great promise, and in several promises has been given by Bhagwan, and this is one of them. Some more promises are going to come in the future, and we saw one great promise in chapter 6 also, when Bhagwan said that my devotees never perish, and whatever you learn spiritually you will carry on in your next life and it will not go waste. All these are promises, okay? And then he also said, Nikhilanand said, Bhagwan will keep his promise. It's not like us. We make promises and we break them sometimes, right? But he's not going to do that. He will keep his promise. So that's why we have to remember. And then another very interesting thing he said he will not only keep the promise in this life, but after we die also it will continue. हमारी promises तो इधर के लिए है, पर उनकी तो आगे भी चलेगी, So that's what he's saying. And then he was just saying that people have so many fears in the life, oh, मेरा क्या होगा, घर का क्या होगा, ये होगा. So वो same thing, like गठरी सर पे उठा के चल रहा है. So have faith that Bhagwan is saying, if you surrender to me, I will take care of you. Okay? So that's what it is. And then he even reminded in Bible, a similar thing is said. And he said he didn't remember the exact gist, but it says, maybe Neeluji might know. He's saying you have to only choose to attain the kingdom of heaven, because they call it kingdom of heaven. It's the same thing, that higher state, and whatever is required for you, it will be given to you. So you just choose and you just follow, right? Something like that is there in Christianity. So all the religions have that. And so he was just saying that you just decide to attain God, and then all the little things will be taken care of Bhagwan. And then he was just reminding, he's saying, all the devta वगैरह है ना, ये धन का देवता, ये वायु देवता, वो जो भी है, वो सारे भगवान के ही सेवक हैं, right? So जो भी जरूरत होगी वो बोलेगी. He just gave a funny example. He's saying that Bhagwan will say, ओके कुबेर को बोलेंगे जाके उसके घर में धन पहुंचा दो. कभी कभी suddenly some big investment happens, some stock prices went up, goes up, whatever, we don't know how. I say, how did this happen? Hey, भगवान ने कुबेर को भेज दिया तुम्हारे घर में. And then I was just thinking कि we have so many Puranic stories that this person, the Yamraj came to get his pranas, and then it said no इसको भी लौटा दिया, अभी टाइम नहीं हुआ है. Not that everybody is going to live forever on this earth, but टाइम नहीं हुआ है, अभी जाओ वापस. प्रारब्ध को भी कभी if you surrender to him वो change हो जाएगा. So then there are 3 conditions: ananya chintayanta mam, paryupasate, and nityabhiyukta nam. So these are the 3 conditions. So ये नहीं कि भाई surrender means just I just believe in God. No. Are you doing these 3 things? That's what is the main thing. Okay. And then he actually, Nikhilanandji was reminding us of some Puranic stories. And if I tell you this, then you will remember what it is. So he said that if you do these 3 things, then if you fall from the mountain, I will hold you. So you guys remember Prahlad ki story? उसके फादर ने उसको माउंटेन से फेंक दिया था नीचे, वो बच गया. And then he said, if you drink poison, I will save you. Everybody knows Mirabai's story. So he said that ऐसा नहीं है. Idea क्या है कि whatever you require, you will get it, and whatever is necessary for you whatever is not necessary for you will go away from you. Even going away is, sometimes we will take away also things because it's not necessary for you. So, but then he was just saying ki, don't think that difficulties will not come to your life. So don't misunderstand that, because that difficulty is there for your welfare only. So ये नहीं कि वो भगवान को सरेंडर किया तो कभी दुख आएगा ही नहीं, कभी कुछ खराब, ऐसा नहीं है. But it will help you spiritually. So that's how we have to live. We have to have faith in God. Okay. And then when he said Ananta Chintayanto Mam, he was just reminding us, Nikhilanandji, that it doesn't mean that, just think about it. It means contemplate about him and tune up to him with all your emotions, head and heart both. Not just logically, I understand, but you have to put your heart in it too. That's what it is. And why? Because Bhagwan is everywhere, And then he was just saying the other way we have to look at this, that how do I apply this in my life? I have to learn to feel the presence of God everywhere. And as we go further into other chapters, he will open it up more. Chapter 10, he's going to show us how to see God in everything around you and all that. So, but this is just a tip over here. So he was just saying with our body, senses, mind, and intellect, all equipments we should tune with God. And so he's saying it's just one thing to just say, oh, God is everywhere, God is everywhere. Another thing is to experience it. So that's what Bhagwan is trying to help Arjuna to learn to experience it. So the sadhana should be that through our contemplation and our sadhana, I start feeling the presence of God in everybody. So that's what is a very important thing. And he's saying that it's like I have to feel that I'm in the lap of God, because God is everywhere, so I'm in him. And then also the senses should see the beauty of God. So that we're going to learn in chapter 10. And mind should tune to God. Intellect, should be constantly thinking about the glories of God. This is what it means, So that's what Ananya Chintayanta Mam. And Pari Upasate ke bare mein unhone bola ki, the whole world is Bhagwan's expression. So physically also serving, the world is, you can call it Pari Upasana, So physically, emotionally, with words, we're serving God. So he, in other words, he uses that Pari Upasana and Ananya Chintayanto is like constantly expressing his connection with God, our connection with God. That's what it is. Okay. And then he said that, we have many examples. In India, mein to bhare pade hain, he was just giving example of Mirabai, Sant Gyaneshwar, Sakant Tukaram, Kabir Das Ji. We read their biography and we learn, how they were tuned to God, And then He's saying that don't think that devotee over here means just sitting in the mandir and doing some bhajan and all. That's not what. But some from your all your other equipments you got are tuned to it. And then he gave the example of Mirabai that everybody knows, that she drank the poison because she had so much faith in God, and that's why nothing happened. So he's saying that don't try to test it, huh? Because that's not what he's talking about. Oh, thoda poison leke I want to see if I'm tuned to God or not. Not like that. The situation came in her life. Because she was tuned to it, Bhagwan took care of it. That's what you heard. And we know the Mahabharat mein Draupadi called for him. Or somebody, किसी ने बहुत अच्छा बोला भगवान साड़ी अवतार बन गए. साड़ी के रूप में आ गए. So it's we have seen those things, in our stories and all that. So he gave a very, I don't know if you've heard of this story. I have heard it, and he said we don't know it actually happened or not. Very beautiful drishtant again. Maybe it actually happened, I don't know. So he's saying Tulsidas ji, it seems that he had a little kutia over there, and he had, some stuff in there and all that. And one time, and Tulsidas ji had gone somewhere, outside his kutia, some chores came, some thieves, to steal some stuff. So it seems that two boys over there came, और उन्होंने उन चोरों को भगा दिया, But the boys were like very attractive and all that. So next day, these chores came back to look at, wanted to find कि कौन है ये लड़के, So they came to Tulsi Jaji's house and said वो दो लड़के कहाँ हैं? बोला कौन लड़के? यहाँ कोई लड़के वड़के नहीं रहते. बोले नहीं हम कल आए थे. And they admitted हम चोरी करने आए थे, but there were these two boys were there and they looked so beautiful and attractive. हम चोरी करना ही भूल गए. बोले कि नहीं मुझे तो नहीं मालूम. तो बोले डिस्क्राइब करो. तो बोले oh they had धनुष बाण and all that. Saying oh my God, Ram and Lakshman came. So it's like they are just, Drishnant is that because Tulsidas ji was so tuned to Bhagwan, even उनका सामान protect करने के लिए आ गए वो वहाँ पे. So Tulsi, it seems in the story, the Tulsidas ji bola, oh my God, I don't want to trouble my Bhagwan for little things. So he just got rid of all his saman. He said, मुझे चाहिए ही नहीं. I don't want to trouble Bhagwan. Just a drishtant. So that's how he protects us, And then he was just saying that in reality, only Bhagwan has a power to really protect us. We think that worldly things will do, but, we don't have that. And even all the devtas and all that, together they decide to make us happy. They cannot do it. Only God can. That's what we have to believe in. And that's what this verse is pointing towards, And then ये एक बहुत famous, सभी को मालूम है ये वाला. जाको राखे साइयां मार सके न कोई. बाल न बाका करी सके जो जग बैरी होए. So that's what it is. And then there is Swamiji's commentary is going to have a very scientific thing behind it. So we'll see what Swamiji's commentary is amazing. Any question on this surrender to God and God taking care of us? Any comments? I see lots of smiles. I think it's a great promise, isn't it? If we can remember
So,
it.
Umaji, does it mean that we are surrendering to universe? You're sending the vibes to the universe, what you want, or you're talking about a physical God?
Okay, so now that's a very good question that you ask. It is, I would say that it's both. Even if you want something in the worldly sense, these three things that he talked about, if you want some material desire also, it will get fulfilled if you do it this way. Like there is a movie, I think a book also, it's called The Secret. I don't know.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you know,
yeah, I read that.
So that principle is coming from here only. It's like if you want something and you put total effort and all your thoughts just flow towards that direction, it starts materializing. When you have, and because the universe has the power, it has all the raw material to give you whatever you want. We may think that, ये मैंने लिया नहीं, हमारा कुछ भी नहीं है. It is out there, all these things, and it can be materialized for you in different ways, So when we read Swamiji's commentary, he said secular as well as spiritual, both places this principle apply. If you really want something in life, then if you use these three principles, you will get it. Because that's the law, you know. So it's a basic law of nature. And that's why it's called the secret is like people who are very, very successful. If they उसका प्रारब्ध है ना वो सब ठीक है प्रारब्ध वगैरह बट अगर उनके जगह तुम इंटरव्यू लोगे ना तो पता चलेगा कि how focused they are in what they do, you know. So it's a combination of everything. So these principles are very, very powerful principles, you know. Obviously you have to be sorry.
Total commitment.
Yeah, total commitment. Yes, yeah. Okay, any other comment? Would who's going to read today? Any volunteers? It's a long thing, so we can have 2 different people read or 2-3 different people can read. Don't mind that. Neeluji, okay, go ahead. When you get tired, we can just pass it on to Anilji or whoever.
Magic. To those men who worship me alone, thinking of no other, to those ever self-controlled, I secure for them that which is not already possessed, yoga, and preserve for them what they already possess, kama.
No, it's called kshema. Kshema. That's how you pronounce. Kshema.
What does that mean?
Shame is when you want to protect what you have acquired. So how you pronounce it as जैसे क्षमा how we say क्षमा उसका है वो क्षेमा.
Okay. So far we have been listening to almost half of the Gita. This stanza is sandwiched between the earlier half and the latter half of this pregnant discourse on life and its problems. This wondrous book, the incomparable scriptures of man, has to provide an explanation for the world and its problems, and must show us the means of winning the goal of success, both here and in hereafter. The function of a religion is not over, merely because it is explaining the why and the wherefore of life, and because it indicates a goal at once infinite and transcendental. An enduring religion must also be complete science of life, which should indicate an exhaustive scheme of living the actualities of life and meeting efficiently the day-to-day problems of existence in the world of plurality.
So 2 points Swamiji mentions over here. One is that, it is at the center of Gita that I talked about, and not mathematical center, but just, from the whole idea perspective. And then he was also saying that, when he talks about religion, means all these things that we do, sadhana that we do, and the books and all that, scriptures and all that, they should not only talk about infinite and transcendental, that's like, okay, kind of beyond. It's something very hi-fi and all that, but we have to live life every day too. So how to live a life, वो भी बताना चाहिए उनको, So that's what he's trying to say, कि खाली परलोक की बातें करके और मरने के क्या बाद होगा, वो सब is very good and great, but it has to tell us how to function in this world so that we get happiness, success and all this thing. That's what he's saying.
Here is a stanza which, with equal emphasis, discloses a secret by which glorious success can be assured for the spiritual and the material seekers. It is significant that this stanza is almost in the center of the Gita. We shall try to follow the implications, both spiritual as well as secular, of the stanza one by one.
So that's what he's just mentioning here, that it's suppose somebody is wants spiritual success, then also this applies perfectly. And if you want a material success also, it applies. And some people say, I'm not ready for spirit. Bhagwan doesn't leave out anything, anybody. You want material, तुमको स्वर्ग जाना है, मैं वहाँ भी भेज दूंगा, ये करो, वहाँ भेज चले जाओगे. मटीरियल चीजें चाहिए, ये करो, मटीरियल चीज मिल जाएगी.
My phone is playing up. Let me just recharge it. 1 second. Sorry.
Okay, you want somebody else to read it?
No, it's fine. I'm
Okay.
just recharging the phone.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
The stanza viewed in the context of a seeker's spiritual practice is, no doubt, a logical conclusion of what has been so far said in the Gita. Persons who meditate on me with undivided heart, here the term Ananya is available for more than one interpretation. A, it can indicate a meaning as non-separate, in which case the term will be qualifying the goal, and therefore the passage will mean those who worship the self as not separate from their own essential self. B, again, Ananya can yield a meaning as without any other, in which case the term will be qualifying the mind of the seeker at the time of his worship, and therefore the meaning will be those who worship me with all their thoughts, with an entirely single-pointed mind.
So then he's just saying that how this word Ananya can be interpreted two different ways, and both are okay. One is, you are saying no other means I am seeing that Bhagwan as myself only. My own self, my own Atma is Bhagwan, and I'm worshipping that. So that word is Ananya, and which is also a great thing, non-separate. And the other one is when I'm meditating, I'm blocking all the other thoughts, from me. Single pointed. That's what it means. So he's saying both are okay. What the meaning.
Those who, with a single pointed mind, thus meditate upon me as the one and only reality behind the entire universe, Krishna promises here that to them, ever self-controlled, I bring yoga and
Kshema. Same word, kshema.
Sorry, you did correct me on that.
That's fine.
Meaning more and more spiritual vigor, yoga, and the final experience of beatitude, shema, which is liberation resulting from the yoga fulfilled. Okay,
so this is a little bit technical. I'll try to explain. There's a word in the Christianity called beatitude. Beatitude is that final experience. जो हम लोग जो बोलते हैं ना, मोक्षा. मोक्ष जिसको बोलते हैं, nirvana. The Buddhism call it nirvana. There's so many words are there. Freedom. What else is there? So beatitude is that final experience of Bhagwan or oneness. So he's saying that when with single pointed mind, if you meditate upon that him as the only reality, then Krishna promises that, and of course you have to be self-controlled. All these three things in a spiritual quest, if it is there, I will bring you that yoga and kshema. Or here yoga and kshema means, yoga means more spiritual vigor, means the more you practice, I will make it better and better for you. Your sadhana, I will make it better. And as you get better, you will reach that final destination. You will reach that moksha, you will reach that nirvana, you will get the beatitude. That's what it means. So this verse can also mean that to get there, we have to follow these three principles. Whatever we are weak in, try to, so we can look at it reverse also. That, hey, if I want to get this goal, then I have to work on these three things.
Umajit, there's a stanza at the bottom. Shall I read that also?
Yeah, sure.
The general belief that the verse is in the mathematical center is evidently false, as it is the 360th stanza out of the total 701 stanzas in the Gita. However, this traditional belief has crept among us that we hear it repeated from all platforms, from all vocal commentators of the Gita.
So I already said, no, it is not mathematical center, but because it's such a significant verse and it is sort of in the center. So just trying to tell you, you know.
Now considering it as a tip for men in the marketplace, sweating and toiling in the world, the very same stanza yields a code of secret instructions by which they can assure for themselves complete success in their worldly life. In any undertaking, if a man is capable of pouring out his self-willed thought, sankalpa, constantly and with a singleness of purpose, he is sure to succeed. But unfortunately, the ordinary man is not capable of successfully keeping his thoughts in one channel of thinking. His goal seems to be ever receding and flickering. His determination to win a particular goal ever changes, since his goal itself seems to be ever changing. To such a man of haphazard determination, no progress is ever possible in any line of undertaking.
So now this is where he's talking about the worldly success. And, you know, he's saying that if you have this, whole personality that you can capable of pouring out his self-willed thought, sankalpa, जो भी हमने determine कर लिया, मुझे ये करना है, you know, and then single-pointed purpose, say, if you, then you are going to succeed in it. Like there was a drishtant where this fellow goes to a Swami and said, you know, I have this dream, and how do I fulfill it? So he said, I'll give you the formula. You think about that dream from your every pore of your body. You know, just immerse yourself in that dream day in and day and night, and your body, mind, it's like सब डाल दो उसमें, वो पूरा हो जाएगा तुम्हारा. So he's saying, अच्छा हो जाएगा, फिर उसके बाद बोला कि तुमको पता चलेगा वो that thing, once you will acquire it, that actually it is just a dream. See what I'm saying? That once, even if you get something material, it doesn't last forever. So dream को reality बनाया, reality फिर से dream ही बन जाएगा. Anyway, that was just, I thought it was a nice drishtant. But even material success, these things will apply. And if we think about logically, we know that. If we want something, it has to be reasonable, of course. You know, I want the moon from that sky. I want it to come to my house. You can't say those kind of things. Whatever is feasible with our intellect, and even it may be very difficult. But when the difficulties come, you don't get phased out. You just keep saying, and there is a very kind of famous saying by the guy who developed the light bulb. What's his name? Edison. He said that it is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So ideas are cheap, but you put in there the effort, and then somebody asked him, he failed like 99 times, didn't you get dejected? So he said, no, I knew what not to do now. 99 things I will not do, and I will do something else now. Then he got success. So that's what they're talking about.
So Umaji, in Catholicism, when you go to church and when you light a candle, if the candle is flickering, the priest, I have experienced this, the priest would say, your mind is flickering. So you need to center yourself and sit down, and all of a sudden, I don't know how, the candle would light and be straight and this thing. और मैं मान लेती थी कि मेरा mind flicker कर रहा है, so I was not concentrating.
No, it's very interesting what you said. So I sometimes go to this beach, Tramelan, it's close to our house, and there are a lot of stones there. And these people come, and have you seen वैसे stone के एक के ऊपर एक रखते हैं? They're all odd shapes and all that. So this guy was doing it. So I just passing by, and he just said, you want to try it? So I said, no, I don't think I can do this. He said, no, I've been doing that. I'll teach you what to do. So he put one stone and he picked another one, and he's saying, now you just concentrate, and you find you and he said, take the other stone and just find the center and just put it there. It's more like with mind. And whatever he said, I kept doing it and it worked, and I was like so surprised, So there is something about power of mind.
Power of
If you do, the universe becomes conducive for you.
Yes.
That's what it is. So you are it's so true.
Yeah.
Umaji, one question. When you are going after material things, just like the book, The Secret, whatever you want, you'll get it. Then this yoga and shame doesn't apply, does it?
Okay, so they are saying that yoga and shame applies to both. So in the material world, if you put all these 3 principles in your material grain that you want, that's material yoga for you. It's still yoga. And as you try, things will get more and more better and all that, right? You get better at it, whatever you're doing. And shame is that finally you will get it. That's what is a material thing. And in the spiritual world, when I want that oneness with God and I'm trying, so the Bhagwan will make yoga better and better for you, and you will get that final moksha. That is shame over there. So yoga and shame can apply to both. That's what he's saying. It depends on what you're using it for. That's what he's saying.
The greatest tragedy of the age seems to be that we ignore the obvious fact that thoughts alone create and not mere activity. Let me read this line again. The greatest tragedy of the age seems to be that we ignore the obvious fact that thoughts alone create and not mere activities. Activities gain a potency from the thought power that feeds them. When the feeding behind is choked and dissipated, the executing power in the external activities becomes feeble in strength and in efficiency. Thoughts from a single pointed mind must flow steadily in full inspiration, enthusiasm, and vigor towards the determined goal which the individual has chosen for himself to gain in his life.
So he's just saying that thoughts are very powerful, but most of the time what happens is we have all these great ideas and all that, and then we're thinking about it great in the beginning. Then when we start working, it gets dissipated. We start thinking of this and that, and then in the previous paragraph he said sometimes your goals keep changing too. So how are you going to achieve that? Oh, I want this today, then no, I don't. Maybe that looks better because that person is doing that. Goal is changing, your concentration is not there. How are you going to get what you want? That's what he's trying to say. That don't.
Nice paragraph, actually.
Yeah, for the worldly things also. Yeah.
Interesting paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Mere thinking in itself is not sufficient. No doubt, actions are necessary. Many of the present day youths, even when they are capable of consistently keeping a goal of life in their viewpoint, they are not ready to get into the field and act as best as they can for the achievement of the same. The term upasana means worship. Through worship, we invoke the deity, meaning the prophet, potential in any given field, and the prefix pari to that familiar term upasana indicates a total effort in which no stone is left unturned in meeting the obstacle of life, carving out one's own victories in any given field of endeavor.
So this whole thing is coming from actually chapter 3, the Yagna spirit, where he talked about that, there is a potential in this universe. Okay? God has given this. And then if you put the right effort, it's like worship over here means putting the right effort. When we say worship, we think that, we are doing some puja and all that. If you think about that, puja mein bhi to effort lagta hai ki nahi? if you do it. So it's a similar thing. But here they are meaning that, in the field of activity, you do that worship, and then you get the, what did he use the word? Somewhere he's saying.
Prefix pari.
No. I'm trying to think. Potential, yeah. Meaning the profit potential in any given field. And the example, just to remember from our chapter 3, like you have Silicon Valley, right? Why does it become Silicon Valley? Because it had that potential, but hundreds and thousands of people put effort over there. With their education, with their talent, with their effort, and then it became the Silicon Valley of the world, means, the IT center of the world, right? Say in Houston, we had that mission control and things like that. So all the astronaut training and all that. So that it became that center. In San Diego, we have Qualcomm, that's what it is. How many people work towards it? So you don't get just the profit just by thinking of the idea. No, you got to sweat and toil in it, and you will get the result. That's what he's trying to say over here. Total effort, when you put, the universe has all the potential to give out whatever you want, You will dig and you will get the water. But if you keep digging, this is a very good example. Everybody's heard it. कुआं में पानी चाहिए तो एक ही जगह dig करना पड़ता है, right? You go there, नहीं, इधर नहीं, उधर कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. That's called total effort. That's what they're talking about.
So far, two main secret factors were revealed without which success in life is not assured. A. Consistency of willing and thinking. And B. Pouring out ourselves with singleness of purpose in meeting the situation in all its entirety. The second line gives a hint at the third main factor that is unavoidable in the constitution of one who is marked out for spectacular success and brilliant gains in life is C. Self-control.
So 3 things that we have to say. Consistency of willing and thinking. So, your whatever goals you have, you stay true to that one. Pouring out ourselves with a single-pointed person means doing all the efforts necessary, whatever it takes, whatever is in your power, And the third is a self-control. Without self-control, to kuch bhi nahi hota. We know that. Even to come to this class on time, we need self-control, right? Nahi to chai hi peete raho subah, Yeah.
As an aspiring individual, consistently maintaining his ambition in his mind, when walks out into his fields of activity to battle with his problem, he will meet with many a tempting challenge of preoccupation through which he could dissipate himself and get exhausted, rendering himself incapable of conquering the highest. To keep oneself self-controlled so that he may not himself get derailed as he shoots forward to reach the temple of his success. In the third great factor, that is to be kept in mind and lived fully in order that success in life be assured.
So I think Swamiji really wanted to emphasize on these 3 things. And here the last one, this paragraph is talking about self-control, because you might have a great idea. You will put lot of, कोई लोग बोलते हैं ना, मैंने इतनी मेहनत की, मुझे कुछ मिला ही नहीं. सुना है ऐसा बोलते हैं. But go back and see, did you do those 3 things? Somewhere it will be lacking. So the people who sit and cry, they have not put in everything, and they may have dissipated their energies here and there. That's why there are some people in a short life, how much they achieve. Like Vivekananda, and Adi Shankaracharya, though he broke all the records. But even in worldly thing, you see that some people can, किसी को काम दो ना, फटाफट हो जाता है, 10 काम और दे दो, वो भी कर देगा. कोई वॉलंटियर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में क्या बोलते थे, अगर काम किसी को देना है ना, जो कर रहा है उसी को दे दो. जो बैठा है वहां पे सोच रहा है, या कल करूंगा, उसको कुछ नहीं होने वाला. That's what they're trying to say.
The terms yoga and khema.
No, what is this word now? Remember? Kshema. Kshama wala, kshema.
Shema.
Yes.
Oh, the K is silent, S-E-M-A?
Yes. This is called transliterations. You have to read the rules of transliteration. These new generation know how to read this because they know the transliteration. The people who Chinmaya Mission ke jo bache hain unko malum hai. Because they don't read Hindi like the way we do. So, but for us, but now we know that it's Shema. Yeah.
The term yoga and Shema defined as the power to gain, yoga, and the power to guard, Shema, respectively by Shankaracharya in his commentary are quite applicable in the context of our discussion. In life, all conflicts and contents, all struggles and sorrows, whatever be the form in which they may appear, always different from individuals to individuals, from place to place, and from time to time, all of them can distinctly fall into two groups as A, the struggles to gain, and B, the efforts to guard what has been gained. These two tensions tear into bits the joy and tranquility of life. One who is without these two preoccupations is the luckiest in the sense that he has gained all that is to be gained, and when these two factors are totally blotted off with one's life, he is dead to the world of sorrow and he is awake to the world of joy imperishable.
So
What a beautiful
yeah.
chapter.
So Swamiji is bringing a totally new angle to this. He's saying that these are the two anxieties we have in our life. And if Bhagwan is saying that I'm going to take care of it, and you give up this anxiety, you have only joy left in your life. So even the Karma Yoga, when he says that, hey, your adhikar is only to work, and when people log bolte na ki fal ki chinta mat karo, it's not technically 100% correct. That's not what Bhagwan is saying. He's not saying don't plan your life and all that. He's just saying तुम्हारा अधिकार नहीं है उसके ऊपर. In a sense, what result you get, if you want a fixed result, that's you don't know what should be the result because you are not capable of giving. You are not a karma phaladata because जो फल देता है ना वो सारे चीजों को देख के देगा. All the hundreds of aspects, and we may be looking at just 2 or 3 aspects. मुझे तो ये फल मिलना चाहिए. How do you know? You are not capable of that. That's what it means. So here also, it's a similar thing, but catching it from a different angle because the two words that Swamiji came up with, gain and guard. The things that we want to gain and then we want to guard it. अगर ये anxiety छोड़ दी हमने, because we have faith in God and because we are doing the other 3 things, you will get everything that you want and you will not have the stress. That's what he's trying to tell us. No stress means joy and happiness.
It is promised here by the Lord that to the one who is capable of maintaining the 3 factors described above and pursues them diligently, to him there need not be either anxiety to gain or the worry to guard, because these 2 responsibilities will be voluntarily undertaken by the Lord himself. Here the term Lord may be understood as the law behind the world of plurality and all the happenings therein. When water is let out from a height for purpose of irrigation, the lower plains, we have only to allow the water to flow in the right direction to reach the required area, and nature itself will carry it down. For it is the law of nature that water always flows seeking for a lower level. Similarly here, no one who is working, fulfilling in himself the 3 great laws pertaining to the physical, mental, and intellectual disciplines, to his success need not be consideration at all, for victory shall dawn the heels of such a mighty ruler of circumstances.
I know, Swamiji uses a very hi-fi language, but basically what
Very philosophical language.
philosophical language. So he's just saying that if you maintain these three factors that he's talked about, the three principles that we saw, and pursue them diligently, then you will not, firstly, you will have no anxiety to gain. But then you do your best and leave the rest. That's what he's trying to say. And then he's just telling you that this is a law of nature, that if you do these three things, success will be at your feet. And he's comparing it to a situation where you take the water and you let it flow, naturally it will go down. उसके लिए तो कोई पंप नहीं लगाना पड़ेगा नीचे जाने, ऊपर चढ़ाने के लिए लगाना पड़ता है पंप। नीचे बहने के लिए वो अगर नदी निकली है वहां से पहाड़ों से तो वो समुद्र में जाके ही मिलेगी. That is the law. That's what he's trying to say. So here, the promise, you can also look at it as a law of nature. In the secular world, that's what it is. That, as the amount of effort you put it as a concentrated effort, उस हिसाब से तुमको result भी मिल जाएगा. That's what he's trying to say.
Opening up a new section to discuss the misguided worshippers who adore at the altar of the deities that preside over infinite material gains, the following is said.
So here again, he's going to go back to those people who have material desire. उनके बारे में वो बोलेंगे. He's alternating. He's talking about first those, उनके बारे में थोड़ा angle बताया, फिर अभी ये वाला बताया कि the people who are, here Swamiji took a very scientific approach. He took as a material also you can do and spiritual, both way the same principle applies. But then if you want only material, then what is going to happen and all that, उसके बारे में बोलेंगे वो आगे. So I don't know about how you felt about this, but it's a very, very important and powerful stanza for us, to contemplate upon and to kind of self-analyze that, hey, what do I want in life? If I really want something badly, am I getting it or not? If I'm not getting it, where am I lacking? All those things can be, through this verse, you can analyze for yourself. Comment, question? Nothing? Absolutely? कुछ तो बोलो. So I have only two things can happen. Either I explained it so well that you have no question, or I did such a bad job that it just went over the head. But lot of people have commented on this verse, and if you get a chance, you should hear about others. Like that story that I told you, but I like that story a lot, where that saint, he tried to change the word, and how Krishna Bhagwan came as a little boy, and through the wife gave the message, don't change anything in Gita. Every word is very precious over there. और मैं भार उठाऊंगा, और actually उठाते ही हैं. The truth is, Bhagwan only takes care of everything. We in our ego, we think I'm doing, we are not the doer. So.
Pubaji,
Yeah.
Can you give like a everyday example for giving up some of our expectations, maybe? Like, I don't know, you sometimes, I know that, worldly things I can get, or I have expectations, but how about things that, like, everyday stuff that you do?
So I think if I understand your question correctly, means expectation means I want a particular way things to happen, right? That is called expectation. Like right? Like I want my children to behave in certain way, or I want this person to do this, or this. Suppose a very worldly example, that I'm giving a party and everything should go perfect.
Exactly. Those kind
so
expect that. How to kind of overcome that?
So there are two aspects to it. Yes. So one is we already did it in actually chapter 2 we started. There's a verse 47, which is karmanya vadikaraste. Hey, your adhikar is to do the action. And there, here, Bhagwan, the way he says, and then he explains this more in this called verse 30 in chapter 3. Okay, where he says that if you put all your effort in your work is going to come out beautiful. You don't have to worry about it. But the problem is that because we put so much emphasis on expectation and imagination and अरे ये होगा वो होगा past में गड़बड़ हुआ तो वापस हो जाएगा गड़बड़, all those kind of thoughts. He's saying to block all that out, have trust in God and just jump in and do your work. And in the end, if suppose something doesn't come out the way, firstly, we cannot expect a fixed result in life or anything. कि मेरे को ये ही चाहिए. It's not possible for us. We as humans, we cannot do that. It's like, okay, I want to go to this trip and I got the ticket, I packed my bag, I put the food, I did everything, and I went to the airport and the flight got cancelled because the weather was bad. Right? Nothing I can do. So that we have to have that understanding that in this world we cannot. That way once we have that understanding, we won't expect it like that. So we say, okay, Bhagwan ki marji. And then sometimes, people tell stories कि वो plane में कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया. And the reason I didn't go, maybe I got saved. Who knows? We don't know the bigger picture. And then the other expectation thing is that this verse that we did just now,
Yes.
that you surrender to God and he will give you everything. And in the end, like that Nikhilanandji was saying, if something is not happening right, it's for your own good. If we have that kind of confidence in Bhagwan, we won't feel bad. That's what it is. And even in the worldly things, if we know that we have put 100% effort, you are not going to feel bad about anything. When we feel bad, when we don't put 100% effort. अरे मैं ये किया होता, जल्दी थोड़ा उठ गई होती तो अच्छा होता, ये है वो. If you have done everything in your power, you will not going to feel bad. So I think we have to take all these different verses and apply to all of them, then you will give up that expectations. And I just want to caution one thing. Expectation doesn't mean that you don't plan something in your life. Because कोई बोलेगा कि, I don't want to expect anything, so I just keep sitting and Bhagwan will give everything. That's not what he's saying at all. But he has certain principles that you put all your effort and you have a prasad buddhi, they call it. If whatever Bhagwan gives, you take it as a prasad. And when prasad mein kya hota hai? When we go there, we just do like this with the hand and we take it. We don't, नहीं मुझे वो orange ही चाहिए. नहीं मुझे वो banana ही चाहिए. यहाँ पर America में sometimes they'll put the fruit and then you can pick it up. But if somebody is giving you never do nakhra. Of the prasad. They call prasada buddhi. Whatever Bhagwan gives, if I have faith that he's giving me because that is good for me, and if something fails, he wants me to do another effort for it. It failed because I lacked something in it, not because Bhagwan was trying to punish me or something. He's trying for me to get better at something, maybe. Okay. I don't know if all those things helped, but
It did.
Yeah.
I struggle with this part.
All of us do. All of us do that.
And so, it's something that I need to keep working at.
Yeah, we all need to. And those are the verses, 47 verse of chapter 2 and verse 30. And this verse all together, if you read it again and again, think about it, contemplate, it will 100% get better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Okay, what's the time? Okay, we have a little less time for Taittiriya, but what we can do, because Taittiriya, that next verse, one of them we are going to read. Next verse is mega verse. It might take like 2 classes. It's very big verse, but it's very, very important. Okay, any other question, comment? Yeah, I'll close Bhagavad Gita then. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।